having sat here the last 2 days and listening to all the things that we have had opportunity to listen to and seen the videos that have been played, that there is trouble in Meru, that there are difficulties, that that county, Mr. Speaker, needs assistance of this House. How you choose to assist the people of Meru, my good friends and colleagues, is in your hands. It is you to make a wise decision. We were reminded that in the next 48 hours, when we went through the motions of an impeachment hearing trial by plenary yesterday morning, Mr. Speaker, that convert yourself from being just an ordinary senator and be a neutral arbiter, be a sober judge, and deliver wise ruling and judgment that will leave the people of Meru County happy. I don't envy you. In fact, Mr. Speaker, after the conclusion of the trial, presented so ably by both lead counsels for the Assembly and the Governor, people that I know so well, and I've had opportunity to work with both of them in different forums, I actually had to seek solace in the Bible again, something that I do when I find myself at crossroads, and read the story that is found in the book of 1 Kings, chapter 3, verse 16 to 28, where two women, and I intentionally avoid to characterize them as the Bible does because of certain connotations, Mr. Speaker, that have been issued in the process of moving this motion, had a disagreement with both claiming that the dead child belongs to the other, while the one that is alive belongs to them. And when they appeared before King Solomon, the wise judge made a decision that many of us do agree up to date, Mr. Speaker, that was incredibly wise and made the right decision in awarding the correct baby to the correct mother. Mr. Speaker, that is a duty that all the 47 delegations have today, to make a decision and see to which mother are you going to give Meru County. Because there is a part of Meru that is dead, there is a part of Meru that is alive. The duty that is before you, colleague senators, is to determine who has killed their baby and which mother should be left with which baby. Colleagues, I do not intend to be long on this process because you all understand the constraints of time that we have, the very difficult decisions that we have to make tonight, and you know very ably that by the stroke of midnight, we need to have made certain conclusions, or at least have converted into the exercise of voting. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we will be forced to adjourn and wait until you gazette another sitting. And since it is not my intention, Mr. Speaker, to get us to that phase, I want to humbly request my colleagues to take time and think about the citizens of Meru as you make your final determination on how this matter should continue. Because, like we have listened, we have been properly advised that there are no easy decisions. Whether to impeach or not to impeach, each leaves us with a very difficult situation. In fact, in the course of consultations, many senators have walked up to me and suggested that, Majority Leader, why don't we as a House invoke Article 192 of the Constitution and just ask the people of Meru that they have a fresh start, that you send all these people packing and have the county dissolved. And perhaps after that realization, then the people of Meru can enjoy the fruits of devolution. It's not an easy decision. It's not an easy task that is ahead of us. To save or not to save is not just about whether you have been convinced or not convinced, because every decision that you make, when you eventually press the button to vote either yes, no, or even, I'm afraid, Senator Sifuna, even abstain has consequences today. Unlike in other occasions, colleague senators, this is a moment. I know that each of you pensively sat down, listened, and has reached a decision. But I'm willing to be convinced, and I guess that is the exercise that you're about to make in the next 1 hour. Listen to whatever points you have picked out from the trial that has gone on here, and hope that on any of the 7 charges that have been presented, it will be good to hear from you. Do you agree that all charges have either not been substantiated or some of them have been? The eventual point that I make, Mr. Speaker, is that eventually Meru will still need us, even after this vote, dear senators. When we conclude on this exercise and the vote tonight, it is my humble submission, Mr. Speaker, that we will still need to retreat and think through what options are available for that particular county. I am particularly troubled, Mr. Speaker, because to be sincere, I never knew of all those happenings until I saw the videos today. We must speak and condemn some of the things that we have seen in that particular video. I am a father of 2 girls, Mr. Speaker, and I'd wish to live a safe and a better heaven for my daughters eventually when I am out of leadership. Some of the things that we have seen, either leaders say or do, I'm afraid, Mr. Speaker, that is not the kind of world that we want for our sisters, for our mothers, for our daughters, for our wives. And I hope, Mr. Speaker, that because these videos have been brought to fore, it should not just end here in the Senate. I strongly believe that it is within the mandate of the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission, because these are ethics issues. When leaders say certain things about each other, EACC needs to pick cue and begin to question us so that we behave better and move from this kind of corruption of our moral fiber of our society. With those many remarks, Mr. Speaker, I beg to move and request the leader of minority, the Honorable Retired Justice Stewart Madzayo, to second this motion. I thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, kwanza nataka kuwashukuru maseneta kwa utulivu wao katika hizi siku 2 ambazo wameweza kuchukua kusikiza huu mjadala. Bwana Spika, huu ni mjadala ambao uko mbele ya Senate. Ni mjadala ambao unatakana sisi tuusikize na alafu tuweze kufanya uamuzi ikiwa yako ushahidi wa kutosha, aidha kufurusha kutoka kwa ofisi, ama ikiwa hakuna, kuweza kumpatia nafasi nyingine aweze kuendelea. Huyu ambaye ni Gavana Mwangaza wa Meru County. Bwana Spika, kibarua hichi, kama kuna wakati wowote ambao Senate inatakana kujitambua na kuweza kuonekana ikiwa iko kazini na inafanya kazi, ni wakati huu ambao inahusikana na serikali zetu za mashinani. Manake wakati huu ni wakati wa kujitambua sasa ya kwamba mtu ambaye amefanya makosa anaweza kuchukuliwa hatua, ama mtu ambaye amefanya makosa lakini si ada ya kiwango cha juu anaweza kupewa nafasi kuweza kuendelea. Bwana Spika, cha umuhimu katika mjadala huu wetu ambao umeletwa katika kipengele cha 181 cha katiba na vile vile katika kipengele cha 33 cha katika County Government Act, na vile vile kulinganisha na kanuni zetu za kudumu za bunge la Senate kipengele cha 80. Bwana Spika, kibarua kilichokuwa hapa jana na leo ni kibarua kikubwa sana. Tumeweza kukaa ndani ya hii bunge letu la Senate kuanzia mapema wakati wa saa 8:30 na tumeweza kuendelea jana mpaka jioni, tumefika saa 6 usiku, na hivi leo vile vile tumeanza mpaka sasa bado tuko hapa. Bwana Spika, hili ni jambo nataka kuwapatia kongole maseneta wote walioko hapa kwa kazi yao nzuri waliweza kuifanya kusikiza mjadala huu. Bwana Spika, Wakenya wote hivi sasa macho yako katika nyumba ya Senate na wanaangalia na wameweza kujionea katika wale mawakili wazuri, mawakili ambao ni majabali wa sheria, wameweza kusema kwa upande wa Gavana Kawira na kwa upande vile vile wa County Assembly ya Meru. Tumeweza kuwasikiza na tuna hakika ya kwamba masenators wetu wataweza kuamua mashtaka haya kwa njia inayotakana kisheria na kulingana na kanuni zetu za bunge. Bwana Spika, cha umuhimu ni kwamba sote sisi ni wazazi, na pengine ningeweza kujiunga pamoja na ndugu yangu hapa Aaron Cheriot aliyesema yeye pia yuko na watoto. Pia mimi niko na watoto wawili wa kike, ambao cha kwanza mimi sikuweza kufahamu kabisa ya kwamba kama kuna picha ambazo zinaweza kuonyeshwa na ukajitafakari we mwenyewe, kama ni mke wako, ni mamako, ni ndugu yako wa kike, ni mtoto wako wa kike. Lakini hayo ya kijiri vile vile kuna aina mbalimbali ambapo tunaweza kuangalia na kuona kama kulikuwa na kosa ama hakukuwa na kosa. Njia muhimu ya sisi kufata ni kuangalia kanuni zetu za bunge na katiba inasema nini. Kwa hiyo ndugu zangu maseneta mlioko hapa, mko na wajibu mkubwa sana. Sisi tukiwa hapa, nataka kuwaeleza Wakenya wote, ikifika time kama hii, hakuna ya kwamba hawa wako pati hii, hawa wako pati hii. Tunaangalia ukweli umesimama wapi, na bunge la Senate linasimama na ukweli. Kwa hiyo mimi nataka kuambia Wakenya wote wasiwe na wasiwasi. Tumesikiza na kila mtu atatoa wajibu wake. Wale maseneta ambao watatoa wajibu wake, kila mtu ataamua katika kosa la kwanza mpaka kosa la 7 kama wamekubaliana ama wamekataa, na ukweli utadhihirika wazi na uamuzi utafanyika hivi leo hapa ndani ya bunge la Senate. Mimi tu ni kuwatakia kila laheri katika uamuzi wenu. Uamuzi wenu na imani nao ya kwamba Wakenya wote kuanzia leo watakuwa na imani na bunge la Senate. Asante sana Bwana Speaker.
Thank you, honorable senators. I will now proceed to propose the question, which is that whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution and Section 33 of the County Governments Act, on Wednesday, 25th of October 2023, the Meru County Assembly approved a motion to remove from office by impeachment Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. Whereas by a letter reference M. Cares, Volume 4/43, dated the 26th of October 2023, and received in the office of the Speaker of the Senate on Friday, 27th of October 2023, the Speaker of the Meru County Assembly informed the Speaker of the Senate of the approval of the motion by the County Assembly, and further forwarded to the Speaker of the Senate documents in evidence of the proceedings of the Assembly. Further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order 80 of the Senate had the County Assembly on the grounds for removal from office by impeachment of Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County. And further, whereas pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and Standing Order number 80 of the Senate. The Senate also had the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza on the grounds for her proposed removal from office by impeachment as the Governor of Meru County. Now, therefore, pursuant to Article 181 of the Constitution, Section 33 of the County Governments Act, and the Standing Order 80, the Senate resolves to remove from office by impeachment the Honorable Kawira Mwangaza, the Governor of Meru County, on the following charges. Charge 1, misappropriation and misuse of county resources. Charge number 2, nepotism and related unethical practices. Charge number 3, bullying, vilification and demeaning other leaders. Charge number 4, illegal appointments and usurpation of statutory powers. Charge number 5, contempt of court. Charge number 6, illegally naming a public road after her husband. And charge number 7, contempt of the county assembly. Now, honorable senators, we may now proceed to debate. What is your point of order, Senator Cherange?
Mr. Speaker, as per Standing Order number 111, I propose that we move limitation of debate and allow each and every senator to speak for 3 minutes. If you can push that one up to around 11:25, Mr. Speaker, sir, then between 11:25, by at least we give also chance governor to reply, and from around 11:40, Mr. Speaker, we can now move to vote so that we don't run afoul of the Gazette notice that you issue, and we are able to finish under today so that we don't need to Gazette another day. Mr. Speaker, I propose and request Senator Wambua to second.
Why am I getting directions on what to do from all over? Mr. Speaker, I'm a ranking member in this House. Mr. Speaker, I second the motion by Senator Cherange.
Now, honorable senators, I need not subject that motion to debate. I will proceed to put the question, which is, as many as of that opinion say aye. Aye. As many as of the contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. So 3 minutes per senator speaking. The Honorable Enoch Wambua.
Good. Hey. Mr. Speaker, I will try to say a lot of things in 3 minutes. First of all, Mr. Speaker, I want to go on record on this impeachment motion that it is clear to this House, to this country, and to the world that the relationships between the Governor of Meru and the members of the County Assembly of Meru is almost irreparably broken down. The Speaker, in the words of one of the lawyers, there is a state of madness in Meru. The Speaker, the parties before the Senate to process this impeachment motion have come to us seeking justice. And that is what they must expect. Justice for the parties and justice for the people of Meru. The Speaker, this Senate must decline the invitation by any party to take sides and move in a direction for whatever reason. This Senate, the Speaker, was available to the parties. They had an opportunity to approach the Senate Standing Committee on Devolution to settle their issues. They passed that opportunity. Both parties, the Speaker, have treated this House and these members and the millions of Kenyans that we represent to a charade of accusations and counter-accusations, all aimed at self-preservation and serving certain political interests. The Speaker, I'll just give 2 examples. The County Assembly of Meru has come to this house with allegations of relatives of the governor being used to embezzle county funds. When that matter was put to test, the evidence on record by the County Assembly is that 1, it is in the public domain that these are relatives of the governor. And secondly, the Speaker, they said that we have seen them take photos. And from those photos, there's a display of public affection. How are we in Kitui supposed to make a decision on the relationship between the governor and our sisters on account of a photo that I don't even know where it has come from? The Assembly failed a basic test to just draw a family tree and show us the relationships. The governor herself, Mr. Speaker.
Your time is up, Senator Boni.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Order, honorable senators. Senator Boni, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, so much. Mr. Speaker, the violence, the inability for leaders to work together in Meru is not new. What is new will be how we shall manage it. It happened in Makwiny. Professor Kibwana was treated in exactly the same way that Governor Kawira Mwangaza is being treated. And he ended up being the best performing governor in the Republic of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, sir, the only thing we got from the impeachment of Nairobi was to be settled with a debt of 250 million shillings for the Green Park terminal that has never been used, that will never be used. Impeaching governors is not always the best solution. Mr. Speaker, sir, Kiambu, the second richest county in this republic, lost 5 years because this Senate was in a hurry to respond to political feelings outside the Senate, and they brought problems in Kiambu for 5 years. Finally, Mr. Speaker, I want to appeal to lawyers of the Republic of Kenya. When you are a lawyer, it doesn't mean you are everything. I have listened to the presentation of Dr. Thiangulu, my own friend, about the evidence of IFMIS. I'm shocked. Completely, Mr. Speaker, and as the longest-serving chairman of public accounts in the Republic of Kenya, I can confirm that I know IFMIS. Mr. Speaker, if you indulge me, no IFMIS report comes out with one transaction, interest, up to the end. No. IFMIS report, Mr. Speaker, comes out with what was spent on interest and what was spent on other expenses. And Mr. Speaker, everything that comes out on IFMIS does not turn out to be genuine. There is something at the end of IFMIS, Mr. Speaker, where the IFMIS report rejects. Mr. Speaker, if we go by that report without subjecting this to an audit report.
Your time is up. Your time is up, Senator Boni. You're off record. You're off record. Senator Kavindu. Order. Order, members. Order, members. Order, member. Order, Senator Boni. Order. Senator Boni, kindly take your seat. Order. Order, honorable senators. Order. Senator Boni, Senator Mundigi, you will be watching this session from your lounge if you proceed that way. Senator Kavindu, proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to say that it has been a good time to listen to both parties, the County Assembly and the governor's side. But, Mr. Speaker, if I may be very honest, if there is a day in this house I was disappointed, is today. Because when I listened, these are issues that would have been solved at Meru level. Those are not issues to be brought to the Senate, because there is no weighty issues that cannot be solved at Meru. The only issue that was very heavy for me is the abusive words that those men used on the governor. I cried. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to walk and go because I could not bear watching the abusive words that were being used to the governor. We are women, yes. We are educated, just like the men.
Who is that who set an alarm to wake up to go where? Can you hold that time for Senator Kavindu?
Yes, please hold the time for
senators,
me.
put your phones on silent mode.
Mr. Speaker, we are women. We are women, we have daughters, and we need to be given space in political arenas that we may also portray our potential like any other person. We are leaders and we can lead, but we don't need this kind of bullying, because even if, if we are given space, we can work. People of Machakos today ask me, was this potential within you all those years? Because of what I do. I am sure the way I've seen the MCIs working with the governor, if they are given humble time and no insights from anywhere, they can work and they can deliver. Mr. Speaker, I'm very disappointed, and I don't see anything that can make anyone go. Thank you, Mr.
Senator Ali Roba.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. We've listened for the last 2 days on issues that have been raised by the National Assembly, County Assembly of Meru and the governor's team. And as an experienced governor, I've listened very keenly on issues that touch on the running of the office. And I've picked 3 very critical issues that came to light. And also, as I watched the premeditated position of leaders within Meru, that came out very clearly in terms of, a position that really indicated that the governor has become an unwanted person, and at whatever cost, they needed to get rid of her. That has also come out extremely clearly. And, as I listened very keenly, the examination and cross-examination, and because we used the plenary format, the senators were just at the mercy of trying to internalize what is being shared and the cross-examination that was being shared. And the time to cross-examine was not sufficient for us to get out the information that was required. However, it has been, in the last one year and few months, we've handled 3 impeachments in the Senate. by far, this will be the most difficult, the most testing in terms of conscience and decision for the senators in this House. However, what is in question is a very weighty matter, regardless of which direction we are going to take as senators. I don't see a solution ahead as a governor who has served for 10 years, whether the governor is impeached or the impeachment of the governor is not approved by this House. I see sadness moving forward regardless of whichever way we are going to vote. And that has been consciously the most disturbing position for me as a leader who has served as a governor for 10 years. Because I've said, if we go this way, what will be the result? If we go this way, what will be the result? And I don't see light at the end of the tunnel.
Senator Ledama.
Mr. Speaker, I speak here today as a father of two lovely daughters whom I'd like to see grow, become leaders like the way God has blessed me. What I witnessed today, Mr. Speaker, is something which negates that dreams if we do not stand and to be counted. What I've witnessed today, Mr. Speaker, is this Senate being reduced into being an internal audit. Mr. Speaker, the lawyers presented something which negates the Public Audit Act Section 31, which is quite clear on the process of audit. Mr. Speaker, sir, Article 228, Section 5 is very clear. It says the controller of budget shall not authorize any withdrawal of funds from the county revenue fund unless she's satisfied that that withdrawal is authorized by law. Mr. Speaker, sir, we've been entertained by a charade of just nuendos. There was nothing that you can be able to prove. I am a member, I'm a ranking member of the Senate Public Accounts Committee, and I know the process. I know what IFMIS is. I know the PFM Act, Section 103, establishes a county treasury, and he puts in the treasurer or the CMC as the head of that fund. Mr. Speaker, sir, I sat down here, and to be honest with you, when I watched those videos, something came to my mind. And I said, you know what? That conference of 1885 in Berlin conference was ill-advised. The British should have just left us with uncouth and civilized behaviors. To see a honorable member, someone who calls himself a honorable member, walking across the streets of our civilized nation, what we call civilized, and saying that certain weapons or certain tools should be used to be able to punish a woman. It's uncouth and uncivilized, and shame on them. Mr. Speaker, sir, I have gone through the 7 allegations, and none of them, Mr. Speaker, sir, has been substantiated. We are being introduced, we are being invited, Mr. Speaker, sir, to get into a conflict of manhood and womanhood. Mr. Speaker, sir, I second the sentiments of the majority leader when he said that it's about time that if these leaders of Meru cannot get their act together, we might as well call a commission of inquiry to suspend that county. It is ridiculous, Mr. Speaker, sir, and we cannot allow this Senate to be reduced to that. Mr. Speaker, sir, we should know better.
Senator Nyamu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I have listened very carefully to the submissions from both sides since the beginning of this matter. Mr. Speaker, the million-dollar questions for this House and my colleagues is, does this matter before us meet the threshold for impeachment? And I want to quote the guidelines given by the Supreme Court of the threshold of conduct of what the council for the county assembly alluded as gross misconduct. Mr. Speaker, is the conduct of the county governor of Meru, is it grave? Is it disgusting? Is it heinous? And is it audacious? And all that appertains gross misconduct? The answer is no. Mr. Speaker, we must not, as a House, drown in the murky waters that is Meru politics. We must be very careful that we do not drown as a House in those murky waters. Mr. Speaker, the MCAs of Meru have failed to demonstrate that they can be independent and they can make decisions that are not influenced from outside. And we must not join them. Mr. Speaker, I want to say tonight that the matter before us should not have got here. I do not see how this matter got here, because this is pure politics that should be handled at the ground in Meru. I am very saddened, I am very disappointed, and I am not going to be part, let it be known by those I am disappointing tonight, that I cannot be, as Senator Karen Nyamu, I am not going to be part of ending a young career of the woman governor of Meru simply because she did not take a tea invitation from so-and-so. She does not get along with whoever. We're experiencing that in Nairobi.
Your time is up. Your time is up. Senator Kajwang. Order! Order, senators. Order. Order, senators. Can Senator Kajwang be heard in silence? Senator Kajwang.
Mr. Speaker, I first want to congratulate the County Assembly of Meru. They have done their constitutional mandate. And if this parliament did half of what the County Assembly of Meru has done over the last 1 year, Mr. Speaker, the cost of living would be much lower, and some people will not be living in the houses they are living up on hills. I want to congratulate the County Assembly of Meru that whatever the outcome of today, they should not go home feeling that they did the wrong thing. They undertook their constitutional mandate. Mr. Speaker, today we are damned if we do, we are damned if we don't. Let me make it clear. The misogyny that has been demonstrated in some of the videos, the chauvinism, the incitement to tribal hatred has no place in a modern Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, those are things that we should not be massaging. Those are criminal actions. Gender-based violence is such a grave criminal action that if I had an option to ask the governor a question, I would have asked whether she reported those matters to the police, because impunity breeds in silence. Mr. Speaker, from the submissions, it appears as if everybody in Meru is mad. We are in a season of madness in Meru. And that, Mr. Speaker, the only sane person in Meru today is the governor and the spouse. That is what has come out of the submissions. But, Mr. Speaker, could that be true? That all the great men and women of Meru, including the Deputy Speaker of this House, are mad, are in a season of madness, and the only lucid person can be the governor? Mr. Speaker, that presupposes and that indicates is a big, big problem that an impeachment cannot solve. Mr. Speaker, we have a patient with 2 damaged kidneys. We take out 1 kidney, the patient will not survive. You take out the governor, you leave the assembly, you still have a problem. You reinstate the kidney, which is the governor, you still have a problem. Mr. Speaker, Article 192 says that where a county government has irretrievably broken down, that county should be suspended, That county should be sent to a fresh election. And Mr. Speaker, even though we do not have the original jurisdiction on that, I want to encourage the citizens of Meru to call for a suspension of the county government, to send Governor Kawira Mwangaza back to the people, and to send the MCAs back to the people. We have been told a lot of stories about who is popular and who is not popular. But finally, Mr. Speaker, let us not forget that in 2010, this nation discharged Nancy Baraza of a role as a Deputy Chief Justice of the Supreme Court of Kenya on very spurious allegations. But that has set a precedent that has been part of a jurisprudence. If we were to go with that threshold, then Governor Kawira Mwangaza should go home.
Senator Wakoli.
Asante Mheshimiwa Spika. Nashukuru sana kwa nafasi hii ambayo nimepewa kujadili hoja nzito za usawa, haki na ukweli. Mheshimiwa, ukipewa nafasi kutafuta amani kati ya wendawazimu wawili, unashindwa utaanza vipi? Ama iwapo wewe ni mhubiri na unamuombea mwendawazimu, Mheshimiwa Spika, utafumba macho ukiomba ama utayakodoa macho pima ukiomba? Hiyo ndio hali tumo sasa. Tunakashifu matamshi mabaya dhidi ya wanawake, lakini pia lazima tukashifu matendo mabaya yanayotendwa na wanawake. Iwapo kuna ubadhirifu wa pesa, lazima tuseme. Iwapo kuna matusi dhidi ya wanawake na jinsia zao, lazima tukashifu. Iwapo viongozi hawawezi kaa pamoja na kujadiliana, lazima tuseme ukweli. Kwa sababu sisi katika jamii yetu tunasema maji yasipotifuliwa hayawezi tulia. Haya maji ya Meru yametifuliwa, Mheshimiwa Spika, lazima tuache yatokote na yatulie. Yamefika hapa, Mheshimiwa Spika, yanatokota, lazima tuamue yatulie, watu wa Meru wasonge mbele. Haiwezekani viongozi hawa kusema yale wanayosema pasipo shinikizo ama kunyoshewa vidole na viongozi wengine. Iwapo wewe unasema ni bishop na unasema wenye wivu wajinyonge, ni mahubiri yapi tunaendeleza katika nchi ya Kenya? Lazima tuseme ukweli. Tumejadili mambo ya wahubiri, wahubiri wawe wa ukweli, viongozi wawe wa ukweli, na bado nitasema fisi aliambia mawe, hata tukinyamaza vipi mumesikia, na lazima tupige kura turekebishe mambo ya Meru. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Senator Mogeni.
Mr. Speaker, if there is an image that had stuck with me ever since this impeachment trial started, it is the image I saw of some acts against the governor of Meru. Mr. Speaker, I can be rough in politics. Mr. Speaker, I can make mistakes in politics, but I will never, and I've never descended to the level I saw in the videos that were displayed before this House, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, however much you hate a human being, Mr. Speaker, if you are a Christian or you believe in the Almighty God, Mr. Speaker, there are some utterances you cannot make against some other human beings when you are a leader, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, despite the things, the wrongdoings we have seen against the governor of Meru, Mr. Speaker, we must ask ourselves, Mr. Speaker, when history is written, Mr. Speaker, and we are the 47 of us who sat here, Mr. Speaker, how did our conscience respond to the videos that were played before us, Mr. Speaker? How will the people of Kenya, Mr. Speaker, judge us? Because it is not just the governor who is on trial, Mr. Speaker. It is the Senate of the Republic of Kenya that is on trial tonight, Mr. Speaker. And Mr. Speaker, I want to state at 11:45, Mr. Speaker, without fear of any contradiction, that the vote I have tonight, Mr. Speaker, the one delegate delegation from Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. I owe my vote, Mr. Speaker, to the great women of this country called Kenya, Mr. Speaker. I owe my vote, Mr. Speaker, to the women who have faith in me from the county of Nyamira, Mr. Speaker. I owe my vote, Mr. Speaker, to the great woman who raised me, Mama Nyamokami. And Mr. Speaker, I want to give confidence tonight to the woman who will receive me when I go home, my wife Jacqueline, that I have respect for the women of this republic, Mr. Speaker. And when I cast my vote, Mr. Speaker, is to give assurance to my two lovely daughters, Nyamokami and Aliero, that we must treat the women of Kenya with honor and respect, Mr. Speaker. That is the vote that I carry, Mr. Speaker, tonight. I rest my case, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Tobiko.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I thank you. And Mr. Speaker, throughout this impeachment petition, Mr. Speaker, I took my time to listen to both sides without trying to give my advice to my sister, as was expected by many Kenyans and by many people in Meru. Mr. Speaker, the council for the county assembly, Thiangolu, has said that quite a number of charges were like repetitions of the same charges that were in the first impeachment, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, then I don't know whether this was just an appeal of what this House had already made a decision on, Mr. Speaker. They could be allowed by law, Mr. Speaker, but I don't think they should have then wasted the time of this House, Mr. Speaker. But, Mr. Speaker, because of time, my submission this evening, Mr. Speaker, is that there could be administrative omissions and commissions. But, Mr. Speaker, do they meet the threshold of impeachment, Mr. Speaker? As far as I'm concerned, these are non-impeachable offenses, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, what we have seen throughout these 2 days is hounding of a woman out of office through emotional abuse, through intimidation, through slander, Mr. Speaker, through threats on her life, Mr. Speaker. We have also seen tribal and ethnic profiling, Mr. Speaker, issues that I think NCIC should pick up, Mr. Speaker. And I would want, Mr. Speaker, to advise the governor of Meru that whatever happens to you this evening, there are cases here that you should take to court, Mr. Speaker. This is very scary to aspiring women of this country. Mr. Speaker, I kept asking myself, is this what is awaiting the women governors in this country, Mr. Speaker? Those who will try to get into the political positions that are the domain of men in this country, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would say that what the county has continued to pursue is what Thiangolu had mentioned the other time, that the election brought undesired consequences, Mr. Speaker. They must live with their choice, Mr. Speaker. As far as I'm concerned, the Meru people elected Governor Kawira Mwangaza, and the will of the people is supreme, and they must live with their choice for the next 5 years. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator Sifuna.
Mr. Speaker, on my first day in this House, I took an oath to protect this Constitution. And I'm sure the people of Meru will appreciate, because they also know about oaths, why I would insist on defending this document on every occasion. Mr. Speaker, under Article 94 of this Constitution, I'm enjoined to be a protector of counties and the interests of their governments. And that is exactly what I'm going to do, whether I know anything about any of your counties, whether I have ever been there, whether I know anyone from there or not, because that is the oath that I took, Mr. Speaker. It has set a very high threshold for the removal of a governor under Article 181 on gross violation of the Constitution and the law, gross misconduct and abuse of office, or where there are serious reasons to believe that the county governor has committed a crime under national or international law. Mr. Speaker, my expectation from the county was to meet a case that demonstrates this particular this particular standard that has been set by the Constitution. Now, there is one telling thing that came from the submissions of counsel, my good friend Thiankolu, that in fact the motivation of the MCAs does not matter. I want to try and persuade this House that motivation is everything. The reason why human beings do things is absolutely critical to the doing of those things. Mr. Speaker, because what motivation does, it sets a goal for you, and then you look for a means to get to that particular goal. We have seen the evidence that has been laid here demonstrate clearly that a decision was made that Kawira Mwangaza had to go as a governor of Meru. And then steps and plans were put in place to be able to meet that particular goal. And that is something that I cannot abide as a senator sworn to protect the interests of counties. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak to two analogies that have, been used quite extensively by the team from the County Assembly. One, Mr. Speaker, is the analogy of the scorpion